Mr. Senate President Owole Rocha Sokolocha, Imo West. Mr. President, for the fact that most senators are not presenting motions similar to Agatu does not mean that this is not happening in all nooks and crannies of our society. There's so much of bloodletting in our nation, much more than we have had during the Civil War. And it has called for concern. Nations that are oppressed with this insecurity should begin to think of the wisest course of action, not of debate and convention. I've said this severally. But perhaps I just rise to share some of my personal experiences as a governor of Imo State. And this might help in some of our decisions. It got to a point that, if you recall, in 2011, that my name and my pictures were in front of every newspaper, side by side with the story of kidnapping, to the point that I was imagining if I was the kidnapper myself, because of the number of stories. That gave me concern. And in Ohajegbema, literally, all the elders, chiefs, and children went on self-exile because some few young boys called the militant group from Ohajegbema, not more than 300 of them, sent everyone packing. That became a concern. I had several Security Council meetings to no solution. And it was becoming more expensive, having to send the police and army and pay allowances every day, and to no solution. What I thought, when one of the Israeli companies came to me to offer me a proposal on how to send CCTVs and machineries and how to catch the criminals, and I was given a bill of 4 billion naira. Meanwhile, my total allocation was less than 4 billion a month. I had to look inwards. The smartest thing I did was to call all my traditional rulers and convene a Security Council meeting, expanded Security Council meeting. And I said to them, today, you, the traditional rulers, are the chief security officers of your communities. And I proposed to them that we have set up what is called the controversial 40 of government, which I did, which is after federal government, state government, local government, I had community government. And it became a controversy in Nigeria, just like Ministry of Happiness and some of the things. And I remember people queried me from National Assembly as to why I am setting up a 40 of government. But I did so because of the urgency of them to reduce the criminal activities in my state. But what I did was I called the traditional rulers. And look at what I did, very smart. I said, today I have handshake with you as the chief executive officer of your community. And decorated them with a similar thing like my store. And every traditional ruler was happy, shaking hands, going back home as chief security officer. And eventually, they had that name. I was avoiding paying 4 billion to Israeli company to give me gadget because I didn't have the money. So I began to cut my coat according to material available, not according to my size. Then they went home smiling. And I said, I'm going to give you allowance, 20,000 naira addition for chief security because I didn't have the money. But within 3 months, the criminal activities in Imo State dropped by almost 75%. Let me tell you, let me remind all of us, that the best form of government is that which allows people to govern themselves. And the best form of security is that one which allows people to secure themselves before the intervention of the federal government. And as they all sat down, within 6 months, police were helped. Because what we lack in this nation is information. Information does not exist. And people who want to give information are scared that when they give this information, somebody will report them, and the armed robbers will visit them at night and kill them. This worked, but let me tell you how it all ended at that, Miss my story. Within 3 months, I had information. I developed what's called Black Book to all the community leaders. And under confidentiality that I dare not reveal to them who are the criminals and kidnappers. Within 3 months, I had all the list of kidnappers in Imo State and where they come from. And that worked a lot for my system. What I'm saying, Mr. Senate President, is that what has happened in Agatu and what is happening in Ohajegbema and what is happening in all parts of this country is the same. We must rise and tackle this issue of insecurity once and for all. The people disturbing the peace of this nation are not more than 5,000 people. Give them a big number, 50,000. But 50,000 people, mostly illiterates, who never went to school, are busy keeping people like us now, educated people, on their toes every day, because there's no unity of purpose in the fight against insurgents and criminal activities in this land. I therefore propose that, Mr. Senate President, that you do convene as quickly as possible the issue of insecurity. Agreed, you have suspended every action of these red chambers until we finish the screening of ministers. But let me tell you, the insecurity issue in Nigeria is much more important than screening of ministers. We can even let them take a bow and go while we address this issue of insecurity, because it will get to a point when coming to the Senate here will be a problem. And trust me, most of the...
Can you please round up?
What I'm saying is the urgency of now, today and tomorrow, to begin to tackle this issue of insecurity. Before every day will become a corrosive thing to say, let's observe a minute silence. And standing for a minute silence is getting too much. If you know we can't take any decision, let's have a minute of silence for the ones that are about to happen. so we can all find peace. I so submit, Mr. President.